Overwatch and the Guardian is the code name for the team that won't quit. Its purpose to voice the normies, to swallow the red pill against the narrative. A ruthless force determined to keep everyone asleep. They broadcast the truth on Rumble, high clouds dropping red pills every week. Overwatch and the Guardian, the narrative is weak.
We can't let it end like this!
It's too late.
Defenders of the Overwatch and the Guardian. Overwatch and the Guardian. Overwatch and the Guardian. Overwatch and the Guardian.
I timed it to give you the perfect. I timed it for you, man. I timed it for you. You weren't ready. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. How we doing tonight?
Good, man. It's been a good day. It's been a good week, man. Can't complain.
Yeah, that's good. Good. It's been an interesting week. A lot of things happening in the world. A lot of talk about China. And that's very interesting because, I mean... China, it's what we talked about. We said, hey, look, over the next few weeks, you're going to hear a lot more about China interfering with all different types of things from cyber attacks on up. And here it is. All the narrative is being laid for a national emergency. But this isn't a political conversation tonight, even though I'm like, man, let's just do that. Nah, no.
This is kidding. We're gonna be stay. We'll stay. We got patience. Tune in Sunday. We'll be talking.
Tune
about
in
it
Sunday. That's right. If it's not canceled.
No, ain't no canceling, man. Princess Room is beautiful. Didn't one thing didn't work out kind of the way I wanted, but everything else kind of came out really cool, and she's super happy. So
Awesome.
I just need to
That's
get
awesome.
those little cushion things for the corners because my kids run around reckless, and one of them's gonna get a big knot. Just
Well, I told you I have this Morgan box, this 18-foot by 8-foot box that I container box that I'm putting in my backyard, and I'm going to build my studio in it. I got it in my backyard. Finally got it set, positioned, it's leveled, it's in the backyard. So that means that all I have to do now is just build it. And if you build it, they will come. Like,
you build
so,
it, they will come.
so
Did you do like a whole foundation and everything, or you just went out there and just?
No, I used paper gravel, paper sand, and then I just put some paving stones down. And it has 2 tracks down the middle, so it sits above ground anyway. But really what you want is you want to be able to level it, and you want water underflow. So you don't want water to seep up underneath it. So I got it to where it's perfect. It's off the ground, and now I'm gonna frame on the outside and make it look nice, and then I got to frame the inside. It's aluminum siding, so it's pretty nice, but I'm insulating all the inside. I just took off the door of it. I'm going to build a whole door frame there for the door and window that I got.
Super cool. Dude, document the process. That'd be something super cool to share.
I'm not like one of those people to be like, okay, now I'm doing this. Like, I fuck things up bad. And
that's what people want to see, man. They want to see like what okay, he jacked that up and this is how he fixed it. So
maybe I'll document it and post it on my TikTok, but everybody's got to find my TikTok first. I got like 2 subscribers, but we'll see what happens. I mean, I've been thinking about it. I've been kind of like, I should document this whole thing, and it'll be cool. But I'm starting on that tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. Going to start on that tomorrow, and that'll be really cool once that's done. It'll be done before winter. We got a lot of travel coming up the next few months.
We do,
but that's okay. That's okay. I don't mind that.
I feel like you've told me this before. I don't know. Maybe leading into a Mandela conversation, Mandela effect. AI systems, NPCs. So when Josh sent me the thing today, hey, because we had kind of joked around about continuing a conversation with the Mandela, and then the AI systems. I'm like, all right, these are great conversations that we can have. But the one I really got excited about was the NPCs. Because we've never talked about that. We might have brushed against it in conversation, but we've never talked about that. So I want to give everybody a teaser about what could be covering, and then we'll bring on our guest tonight.
Well, we're going to be talking about the aspects of the nature of the universe, of simulation theory, artificial intelligence, what that means in the construct of what's happening, Mandela effects, what they are, why they happen, various different theories, non-participatory characters, something that I've had a definite run-in with. There's actually a TikTok channel out there with this dude who claims that he runs into NPCs all the time. We'll talk a little bit about that. And there's just the weirdness of reality and the nature of reality. And I want to actually bring up an example before we bring on our guest real quick. We got a good friend of ours coming up here in a minute, but I want to bring up this real quick. So this is crazy, dude. So Tropical Storm Dolly forms in Central Atlantic just 2 days after Dolly Parton's death. Okay. Now that's I said, not weird at all. If this hits a place called Curry, then I'll be concerned we live in a simulation, right? So after I posted this, I'm like, I wonder, right? Well, guess what, dude? For fuck's sake, we live in a simulation. Dolly Parton and Tim Curry pass away 2 days apart. The tropical storm Dolly forms and heads towards the northeastern Caribbean, where Puerto Rico has an actual community called Colinas de Curry. Dolly is literally headed towards Curry.
No way, dude.
And I said, like, if this actually happens, I live in a simulation. And then I'm like, I got to check that now. And I went and checked. I'm like, son of a bitch. I went and checked to see if it was going to land near a place called Clinton. But nope, there's no place called Clinton. So at least that's good.
He's still hanging on, bro. He's still hanging on.
He's still hanging on.
Although Trump did put his picture on Sunday. We'll talk about that Sunday. And that'll get us sidetracked. So we'll talk about that Sunday because it's very interesting who Trump chose to add to some stuff tonight. But why don't you introduce who we have as our returning friend?
Well, yeah, Gabe. Everybody knows Gabe. Good Brew Gabe, man. Bring him on up. Good Brew Gabe. Gabe, how's your volume tonight? Is your mic working?
Oh, man, that was so terrible, dude. That was really bad. And just for a heads up, I think I did a little research. So I had that audio driver that needed to be updated. And I think it might be related to a lot of people having problems with Zoom. Zoom apparently can crash. You know, if it's in the background, it can crash audio driver. So maybe that was the update in Zoom or related. I don't know, but just FYI in case, because you guys do a lot of audio.
So stuff, I brought Gabe on last night. I'm like, Gabe, how you doing? He's like, Gabe, can't hear a word you're saying. He's like,
well, you brought him on right now, and how he's doing in my eardrum. So I just want to check. I just want to. Well, I mean, don't worry about urine. I did an adjustment on the studio, and I just want to make sure that the audience, can you guys still hear Gabe loud? Because I lowered him all the way down to about 44 on our end. So as long as the audience is good, we're good. If not, I'll raise him up and then I'll make the adjustment here.
And that's probably for me downloading the new driver update. It probably boosted everything. So, anyways,
awesome.
Okay, they're saying it's better. They're saying it's better. So sweet.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, guys. And it's, I always love listening to the things you're going to cover and talk about, and with the Mandela effect and those sorts of things. There's one thing about that you guys might look into. There was, the whole relationship to CERN. I'm sure you'll get into that. But there was a statue put up at CERN, and it was a donation. I don't think anybody's ever, as far as I know, nobody ever was able to uncover who donated that it's the goddess of chaos from India. Shiva. Yeah, so I mean, it would be interesting to find out if anybody's ever figured out who did that donation. That would be interesting.
Interesting enough is I'm very familiar with that statue with Shiva and all that, but I had no idea it was donated.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was donated, and nobody knew who donated it, which would be that would be an interesting thing to know. I mean, you guys can look it up. I mean, I'm just I'm a spectator in all of this. But great to be on, and great to be able to talk about Good Brew. Great to be able to support your show. I know Josh mentioned some things. I was listening yesterday about maybe trying to get some people for you guys to interview. We'd always be happy to try and be involved with that if we can do anything there as well. But for the Good Brew specials, I did just throw up a Labor Day special. So as we'll talk about gut health in a minute, just because so many people already know what it is, we still always have these. Well, we don't say always. We have the two largest with the 250th. We're going to keep going with that. So you get the free tumbler. They're a little better quality. They're doing a better job priming the things, but you still got to be careful with washing them. And then I just threw up the Labor Day special. Was going to do 2 mediums. And I think a lot of people like that. I remember we did this a while back on your show, and they really liked the 2 medium special. So that's all on the homepage. If you go to the homepage, use Red Pill, or if you're watching with Josh or Alpha, and as a discount code, you get the discount code, and that's how we also help to support the show. We've had a lot of great testimonials lately. I know there was one I sent to Josh of a lady who was said she got. I mean, you saw the testimonial. I sent it to you as a text. It was She was just talking about how it helped her get off of her acid reflux medication and that sort of thing. And again, we're not promoting a product as a medicine. I mean, it's a functional food. It's got 25 clinical studies behind the probiotic. There's a ton of research coming out on the inulin fiber specifically. So there's really good research behind all of this. And that was just one testimonial. And then also Sunday morning, I had a lady call me just Sunday morning. Just wanted to tell me thank you for the product. So she was using it. So everybody's different. Start small. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. It's about starting small, and don't think that you need more. You need what works for you. So one lady was on the phone with me. She was using like 2 to 3 scoops. And I don't know what this other lady was using, but we do have plenty of customers who use only a half a scoop. And if you start with a product, start with a scoop or less, and then adjust. And most people end up between 1 and 2 scoops. But what's really interesting is I was talking to a functional medicine doctor, and he's basically, when he came and looked at he just came across our product. We were at a festival or something, and he looked at it. He said, if this didn't have inulin fiber in it, he said, I would have walked away. And we sat there and we talked for an hour. And he said, they're now starting to see even like 1/8 of a teaspoon. And he edited a book on this. Even 1/8 of a teaspoon is helping children like under the age of 5 with really specific issues. He got into all of that. I won't, but various different issues, and it was significantly benefiting them. And we talked for an hour on that. And then I did some more research. I just wanted to, because I know what our testimonials are, but even like a teaspoon for adults, which is about our scoop, it significantly can increase bifidobacteria. And this is really important, because bifido and lactobacillus, these are what's called the keystone probiotics that we get as colonizing microbes. And when they're out of balance, nothing else really flourishes. None of the other good ones flourish. And so it's like one probiotic produces a metabolite that then supports another probiotic, that then supports another one. There's like 1,000. I mean, there's more than that, but like species wise, and then there's all these different strains. There's about 1,000 that have been identified that are very critical to different functions in the body. But if you don't have the lactobacillus and the bifidobacteria at healthy levels, all the other ones they won't flourish. They won't be there. Akkermansia and many of these other ones. And specifically, there's a lot of talk right now about urolithin A. And urolithin A, I know Josh talks about, and probably you too, Alpha, but I know you guys are really following like David Sinclair and everything that's going on with anti-aging. Well, you hear a lot about autophagy, and that's cleaning out senescent cells and that kind of thing. But there's also what's called mitophagy, and that's cleaning out dead or dysfunctioning mitochondria. And we've talked a lot on this show about how the gut microbiome plays such a big role in healthy mitochondria, just from the standpoint of better serotonin levels, which then are precursors to melatonin, which has a lot to do with healthy mitochondria, but also urolithin A. So we've talked short chain fatty acids are produced by the microbiome, only by the microbiome, vitamin K, a lot of the B vitamins and other things, but also urolithin A. Urolithin A is this molecule that's produced by the microbiome after you eat certain kinds of polyphenols, mostly from fruits. The one that gets the most airtime is pomegranate. Pomegranate has a lot of this polyphenol in it, but other fruits do as well. And you have to have a healthy microbiome to convert those polyphenols into urolithin A, and then urolithin A helps to clean out dead mitochondria. So the thing is when they look at the studies, and there are people now are supplementing with urolithin A, but when they do the studies, they say only 30 to 40% of people produce healthy significant levels of urolithin A after consuming these polyphenols. So when they say it that way, it sounds like only 30 to 40% of people have the microbiome to do that. But if you really look at the research, the majority of people, probably 70, 80%, actually have the microbes to convert these polyphenols into urolithin A. The problem is their gut's in dysbiosis. And one of the things they know that you got to have healthy levels of bifidobacteria to start that chain of, it's a chain of metabolites that go up the list to where you're feeding the microbes that then can convert the urolithin A or convert into the polyphenols into urolithin A to help clean out the mitochondria. And so what we know is that the inulin fiber that's in Good Brew, and now I also looked specifically, if anybody looked for Bacillus coagulans, and also I knew Bacillus coagulans help support bifidobacteria and lactobacillus, but yes, specifically now somebody has looked at Bacillus coagulans as well as inulin fiber as not only what we know, if it supports bifidobacteria, it would help support that chain, but yes, there is a correlation between supporting bifidobacteria with Bacillus coagulans and inulin fiber, which we use in Good Brew, to then help support the production of urolithin A. So that's just, these things are really, really important. And we've offloaded all of these critical roles to our gut microbiome that help to support our health and well-being in so many different ways. So from the healthy gut lining to the autoimmune diseases that's related to the blood-brain barrier, which all leaks back to short-chain fatty acids, but then the vitamins and the urolithin A and many, many other things, the liver production, the breaking down of sugars. I was talking to a guy today about how the microbiome plays a role in breaking down sugars into amino acids, so that in addition to having a healthy gut lining because of the gut microbiome that helps to regulate glucose, blood sugar levels, also the actual breaking down of sugars by the microbiome.
Well, yeah, sugars and proteins.
Oh,
and proteins, right. And converting sugars into proteins. Yeah.
I got to read you guys something that just came in my chat. PMAC Knight says, my husband has been on Good Brew for a few months. He has had colitis and the doctor could not cure it. This has helped get his stomach back into some normalcy along with milk thistle.
Wow.
Just right there in the chat.
Colitis is a big deal, and it's on the rise. In fact, we have some people that give it to their pets, and I actually just heard a story today from somebody whose dog had colitis, and they started giving them a Good Brew, and it's helped their dog with the colitis.
Ooh.
And colitis is a really big deal because that's precursor to cancerous cells and that sort of thing. So yes, the inulin fiber and the probiotics helping to support that lactobacillus and bifidobacteria. It's helping to create healthy cells in the digestive system, which is, kind of, it's like a big, it's just this crazy chain of events that happen from what happens in the gut. And another thing that I think is really interesting is bifidobacteria is something that they correlate with healthy aging. So people who get into their 80s, 90s, and centenarians, they tend to have very healthy levels of bifidobacteria. And then, if you think about that, well, bifidos playing this key role in like the urolithin A production and the short chain fatty acids. And so we know that what's different about Good Brew is that we're not trying to take a colonizing microbe and get it to go through the stomach. We're using a spore forming probiotic that our ancestors would have benefited from, that comes from nature in a spore. It doesn't colonize the gut. It's transitory, but it has evolved with us to germinate in the gut. And when it germinates in the gut, it's helping to support all of these other, it's like the soil amendment for your garden, really helping to support these other keystone microbes. And that's the different approach from Good Brew. And because it survives through your stomach as a spore, it's not affected by coffee, and you don't even taste it in your coffee or your tea or yogurt or whatever you want to put it in. So it's very easy to consume. It won't affect the flavor of your coffee or anything like that. So it's both very easy to put into your routine. It has real clinical studies behind it. More research coming out now on the type of soluble fiber that we use. Remember, most of the big name fibers on the market are dextrins and things that are not even natural fibers that we would get in nature. They have to be processed out, and like the dextrins from wheat and corn and that kind of thing. When you eat wheat and corn, you don't get dextrin. Dextrin is processed out of those things, and that's the biggest fibers on the soluble fibers on the market are those things. And then people ask me about soluble versus insoluble too. I had a guy talking to me today about that, and so soluble fibers are really like the prebiotic fibers. They're the ones that feed the microbiome to produce these metabolites. And then the insoluble fibers like psyllium husk and stuff, they're more of a bulking agent, and they have benefits in the gut as well, but they play a little different role. So just keep that in mind. There's a difference between insoluble and soluble. We're hearing this word thrown out, fiber, but there's not all fibers are created equally, and quite there's fact two great big giant differences between insoluble and soluble. So there's two categories really of fiber, and then within those there's many subcategories and things that they're getting called fiber. A lot of gums and dextrins and synthetic fibers, and even with inulin, there's inulin fibers that are more synthetic. They're more this maybe not the best word, but they're fibers that have been created for the food industry as more of a stabilizing agent. They're longer chain. They don't have that mild sweetness that natural fiber, that natural inulin has, etc. So
Crazy.
we could go on and on and on. I know you guys have a great show to talk about. So there's the Labor Day. Oh, go ahead.
I gotta, before you get there and you go, I gotta ask you a question from an audience member that came. And maybe you know the answer to this, you don't. So, young gentleman, he's in his 30s, early 30s, and he started taking Good Brew. He does it daily, and he was taking it for a gut issue he had. Now, he didn't tell me what the gut issue is, and he noticed that it was helping with that issue. However, what he also noticed is that he struggles with anxiety, and he's noticed his anxiety it's just been very low. And he's like, the only thing that I've added is just the Good Brew. Is there a possibility there's some?
Absolutely. There's absolutely, yeah. The healthier, your gut plays a role in your mental health and mood on multiple levels. So just at the most root base level, one of the things they think about, like say autistic children, for example, have very big problems with their digestive system. And so, they're known for being very anxious and having a lot of anxiety. And they know that when they help them with their gut issues, that anxiety level comes down. So just at a real base level, there's always the signal, and the vagus nerve and the brain are connected. And there's, they call the gut the second brain, right? And so you have, the serotonin production, the cortisol production, both happening in the gut, or the cortisol precursor to cortisol happening in the gut. But the same cells, they're called enterochromaffin cells. They produce serotonin and cortisol. And when your gut microbiome's out of balance, the military study this. Josh and I had a little conversation. Josh did some research on this as well. But the serotonin levels get out of balance, and not only are you producing less serotonin, but you're also producing more corticotropin factor. It's a hormone that upregulates cortisol. So you're getting a double whammy. You're getting less serotonin and an upregulation of cortisol. But the brain just knows there's a signaling going on. It's like there's actually a sixth sense. They know this. There's sensors in the gut that are just there to monitor the microbial activity and what's going on in the gut, and we don't really know that it's happening. So if there's any indication that there's something wrong in the gut, it's sending kind of this constant worry to the brain. Like there's something wrong. There's do something, change. So just at the root level, there's that. It's a constant signaling that you're sick, or and that creates anxiety and that kind of thing. Just think about when you're hungry. Hunger in and of itself can create kind of anxiety and angry and that kind of thing. So there's all this signaling going on. Then it gets more complicated because the gut microbiome then also starts to play this role in the in the hormones and the nervous system. There's the enteric nervous system that's connected, that works with the central nervous system back and forth, and and on and on and on and on. So the endocrine system is highly affected by the gut. So yes, there's absolutely a connection. And our friend there, the boxer, we all know, he's using Good Brew and said that he feels like it's helped his mood a lot. So
I'm gonna have to bring you on my show to specifically cover that anxiety one. That was, I know we covered it fast, but that was very revealing right there. I was not expecting that. So we're going to get into the specials, and I interrupted you. So go ahead, Gabe.
No. I wanted you to ask questions. I just didn't want to hold you guys up. I mean, I know you guys kind of got to get moving, but yeah, the military did that study on PTSD, and they think that not only does helping the gut help with PTSD symptoms, but now they also think that the condition of the gut at the time you experience trauma can be the difference between whether you develop PTSD or not. So if your gut's in dysbiosis at the time you experience trauma, you're not able to process the trauma because your endocrine system's out of balance, and that's what Josh and I talked about. That a Vietnam vet who was a retired dentist told me that. He put me onto that, and then we looked at the research, and indeed it does. So
you got a Labor Day special up there, buddy?
Got the Labor Day special, the two mediums, and we got the two larges with the tumbler. So get those, anything else. And there's always, for those who use Good Brew a lot, we always have that the 3-pack special is always there, and that's a really, really good deal if you don't jump right out and buy that as your first thing, but but that's for those who use Good Brew on a regular basis. The 3-pack's a great deal. And don't forget to use Alpha or Red Pill for your discount code when you're checking out. And we really appreciate being on the show and supporting you.
Love you, Gabe. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, guys.
Have a good night, Gabe. Making our audience healthier, man. Making our audience healthier.
And you can see it with the audience because they're actually out there like, oh my God, I love Gabe and I love Good Brew. And they're talking about it in the chat. So, I like that.
Just with the lady's husband, man. Like, so, this is cool, man. It's cool. It is cool. Well, because here's the thing. We went through like a shared trauma, right? 2021 to 2024. And it jacked
2001. September 11th.
Yeah.
2008 financial crisis.
I would not argue any of those points with you.
2008 presidential election, 2012 presidential
election. Most recent shared trauma. Jesus, okay. The most recent shared trauma that we've all gone through. Hopefully, the last one, probably not. But, a lot of people's like anxiety, their health, a lot of things are out of whack. I saw somebody was talking about, and I'll have to go back and find it, but the doctor was doing research on a lot of people that got the, this, and they're not creating that what do you call it? The inulin, whatever he called it. The
inulin? Yeah.
It was something A. I don't think it was something A. I don't remember. He said the word. But they're finding that people that did this, were not producing that. And which led to the, a bunch of the words that I can't repeat. Anyways, I'm going to find it because it's one of the things that I'm going to want to ask him about. And we're making our audience healthy.
Doesn't matter because, literally, it's just programming code in a simulation and all you have to do. Well, what if matter itself was like injected program code to where like when you take something like Good Brew, it's actually like computer code information that gets injected into a biological computer system. And then that programming language begins to translate into something that we call health, which is just a program running and operating that functionality.
Well, that programming code you did right now allowed me to go and find that chat. So I'm going to be able to present it. So Rocky Savvy 96 put it. I'm probably going to hit up Gabe to come on the show here in the next week or two to specifically cover what you posted in the chat. But no, to the simulation thing, man. I struggle sometimes acknowledging that it's a simulation because I feel like it's in conflict with my faith. And I get it. We've been programmed to react that way. So I understand that part too. And this has been kind of like a growth maturity thing for me in this conversation. But there are some things, man, that you can't write it off. I mean, it reflects a simulation. And again, whether it's the Mandela effect or some of the other things that we're going to talk about, there's just some things you can't ignore. Like there has to be an explanation for it. And the government's not telling us.
Well, I mean, when you start to look at it, dude, philosophers, physicists, computer scientists, technologists, they've debated this question openly as if this is a real possibility. Elon Musk came out and said there's a 99.9999% chance that we live in a simulation. Well, why is that? Well, reality operates like an information system. At the deepest level, matter is described through like fields and probabilities and information, not tiny solid objects like we're taught in grade school, right? Physical laws, the laws of nature, function like universal rules when applied everywhere. So matter may be what process information looks like actually inside the system. That's what I was getting to with that idea. So think about it like this, is maybe information doesn't exist inside the universe. Maybe the universe exists inside information.
I gotta picture this, because I can see information in the universe, but flipping that around.
Well, think about it like this, is you ever watched a YouTube video?
I do.
Okay. So you go in and you watch a YouTube video, right? And so you're watching a video on YouTube. So that video on YouTube is information, right? Is presented as information inside a construct of information.
All right. Okay. I'm tracking.
Okay. So you have to look at the bigger basis of reality. So number one is that we have something known as the Planck scale, 10 to the negative 35 meters. And it might not seem that small, but imagine 10 plus 35 zeros coming before it, right? So energy and other physical properties are what we call quantized. This is what Max Planck discovered back in the early 1900s. He was dealing with something known as black body radiation. And what he realized is that light at small quantification does not move uniformly. Okay, so I want you to imagine this for a second, right? That light, when it moves from one point to another point, it doesn't just move in a straight line. Whoop, one photon after one photon after one photon. Light actually waits until it has enough of the light into a packet, and then it moves. So in data, like computer programming, we have bits of information, right? So in order to translate or make sense of information is structured within various different computer languages. These languages are all based upon a structural machine language that operates at the very basal level, which is in basically binary or octal format. So you're going to have 4 characters, 00100111 or something of that nature, right? And that means that when we start to look at the construct of data, of information, is that that information is not translated by the system until it is in that structure. And the same thing with light at the Planck's level, the 10 to the negative 35 meters, that light does not move from one point to another until it is quantized, until it is compacted into a packet of information, and then it moves from one point to another. And the time frame at which it does this, the distance at which it does this, is the Planck's length, also known as h bar. This is a Planck's time. This is the Planck scale, 10 to the negative 35 meters. Now, one interesting thing that we have, in 1903, they didn't understand what the Planck scale was, or what Max Planck was really talking about. Physicists did, quantum physicists. This, by the way, this birthed quantum physics. The word quantum comes from the word quantification or quanta. Light moves in quantification or quanta of energy. This is where the word quantum physics comes from.
Well, let me interrupt here just for a second, because this, and I'm sure there's got to be at least one person in the damn audience that has this question with me. When you go back that far in time and we look at the technology that was available for them, how did they even have the mental thought to come up with H Planck on something they couldn't see, something that they didn't have the technology to measure?
Well, so the correction is measurement. So they had the capability to observe results of experimentation, right? So think about it like this, is that Max Planck was dealing with certain types of radiation and putting it against various different types of material substances and observing what happens and testing what happens. And through this, he observed a phenomena that occurred, and from that, he can extrapolate through that observation a theoretical model. Then he takes that theoretical model and he can begin testing that theoretical model. Now, did you know that Einstein won the Nobel Prize? Did you know what he won it for?
I know he won it. I don't remember what he won it for.
It wasn't for relativity. It was actually for the photoelectric effect. So basically, you know, solar panels today,
Right.
that was Einstein. Photovoltaics. And he got the idea from Max Planck, understanding that the quantification of light moving from one point to another has to occur, and that there's ways to induce that to actually happen. So understand that, you know, the Planck scale may mark where conventional ideas of space and time stop working. What do I mean by that? Is go back to that same idea of a digital data system. Is that bit of information, that octal code or that binary code, that is the basic format of how information is translated in the universe. In other words, beyond that level, we can't interpret information. Well, think about that as the Planck scale. Well, what do we call that in a visual digital system? That's a pixel on your screen.
See, so that's where I want to go, because, you know, as I try to picture how the simulation works, then I start, it gets wild, right? Let's just put it that way. So help me understand more of how this reality actually operates, because I think it kind of goes into what you're saying. For instance, and I think we might have talked about this on a show before. You know, I wave my hand like this. The camera that's in front of me sees that. Then it gets that information, fires it through that cable. That cable goes into my computer. That computer then ties into the router, and it goes out into the interweb. Well, it's not like it's sending an image, it's sending codes, right?
That's right.
And then those codes reach the destination that our audience is watching: a phone, a TV, a laptop. And that code is then translated into something that machine knows, makes it look like
so
this.
This is actually a really cool. This is when I fucking learned this. And so in the Navy, I had to go through an advanced AECF, Advanced Electronic Computer Field. And you have to go through transistor theory, which is probably one of the hardest theoretical frameworks you can go through in any type of engineering school. But when I learned how these systems actually operate, I was blown away. I mean, right now it is so far from the base level of what we understand that we can't even conceptualize what's happening in front of us. But I want to bring this down to a very, very basic level, okay? Excuse me. What you have is called a flip-flop, right? And a flip-flop just basically means is that when I have so basically two transistors, when I have a charge coming this way, it opens a gate and releases a voltage this way. That's a binary 1. When a charge comes in from this side, or if a charge has this configuration, it opens up and the charge goes that way, and it has a different configuration. So you can have a -1 or a +1 charge that comes through. -1 charge can mean 0. +1 charge can be a 1 in binary configuration. Now you link these flip-flops together, you have something called a register. And so what happens is these flip-flops can be set. And so now you can have 1 0 0 1 0 0 1 0 1, right, into a flip-flop. Well, that's very, very basic. What is actually happening here is, think about this, is electricity is coming in, and then electricity is being diverted out through a system. Then that electricity, it goes through resistors, it goes through capacitors, it goes through limiters, it goes through transistors, it goes through all different types of different electrical components that either slow it down, reduce it, increase it, amplify it, screw and flip its magnetic field or flip its phase orientation. These components do all different types of things to the electrical signal coming in. And then it goes into these logic circuits. And the logic circuits are basically saying 1 0 0 0 1 1 1 0 0 0 0. Okay? Now, what you were just talking about there, that your computer right now, you have a camera that's capturing your image, you have a microphone that's capturing the audio. This is going into a computer. The computer's processing all this information. It's sending it out through your Ethernet cable to your router, to your modem, from your modem to the fiber cable to the road, and from the fiber cable to the road. Then it's sending it over to the distribution center for your internet service provider. They're sending it to a satellite signal up into the world. It's sending it out to we're on StreamYard, to StreamYard servers across the world, and then it's distributing that, okay, across the world to all these various different computers and phones. Now,
Just
here's the crazy thing.
Make sure I'm not losing, though. It's taking audio and a visual and turning that into numbers.
So yeah, it's raw data. So think about it as like a raw constructual data. And what it does is like the camera information. What it's doing with the camera information is it's actually capturing grid information. So it's basically saying, this pixel here is, this is how fast it's happening. You're talking about hundreds of millionths of a second.
And folks, stay on track here, because I'm going to explain why I'm asking these questions to Josh to the simulation. So please continue.
So think about it like this, is that if you just take a still picture, okay, what your computer's actually doing is it's topologically graphing that still picture and marking the various different points. So on your screen, you might have a certain resolution. Your camera has a 1080p resolution. What that basically means is the grid construct of how that camera is capturing your image has 1,080 points of reference, right? So those 1,080 points of reference, each one has a pixel. That pixel has red, green, or blue. Okay, that red or green or blue has a certain electrical signal that comes into them that either does red, green, or blue, or a combination of red and green, or red and blue, or blue and green, right?
Right.
So it depends on what frequency is coming into that. So take that as mechanical information. So what's happening is the digital representation of that mechanical layout is what's being transferred over those lines. Now, that's just a still picture. Now, think about a moving picture, moving all over the place, doing this. That is trillions upon trillions of data bits that are transferring at the same time across the internet right now of streaming data. We can't even, we have to look at it in petabytes of information right now that it's so damn large. And it's so complex because what you're actually having here is, just think about this. What you're having here is a mechanism of switching up and down, up and down, up and down, on, off, because that's really what it is, Alpha. It's just something going on and off trillions of times a second inside your computer. So you have multiple different components just going on and off, on and off, on and off. And that SOS, that Morse code of on and off and on and off and on and off is being translated into what everybody is seeing right now. That's kind of like a very simplistic version or variation of what's occurring.
Now, again, very simplistic, and I'm tracking there. So now let's bring it to us, because I want to find the similarities here so I can understand the potential theory of a simulation. Yeah, I knew you would know where I was going with this. So my eye is on the other end of this. My eye is interpreting what's on this screen, right? And then that goes into my brain, right? And then 2 weeks from now, 2 years from now, I go to have a memory of this podcast. And as I'm having that memory in my brain, I get the visual and the audio. I hear your voice. I see some of the stuff that we were talking about, maybe a video or a graphic we shown. That happens in my brain. Well, it's not like my brain filed away some DVR recording, because they've examined the human brain. That's not there. So as I understand it, there's things that happen in the brain that I trigger that memory that starts firing off energies and light and frequencies. And then those things get translated somewhere in here into a visual that I see.
So let me first explain this part. When we're talking about this digital information right now that's being translated to everybody in the world is in a different geographical position. You agree with that? I can agree with that. We have different cell phone towers, different phones, different devices that are being utilized. Did you know
that there's a lunar eclipse right now?
Yeah, there's a lunar eclipse right now.
Holy
so
smokes.
let me tell you this, is that nobody is experiencing this show right now in the real time. That every single person, the thousands of people watching this show right now, not one of them is seeing the same part at the same time.
Well, there's a delay, what, 30 seconds, 40 seconds?
Well,
so
it doesn't even matter. But even if someone was right next to each other, there would be microseconds of a delay. Okay? Now that's really interesting because guess what? What you were just talking about. Light hits my eyes. It oscillates the rods and the cones in my eyes, which are my color receptors. The rods and the cones begin to oscillate, and they produce electrical frequencies that go down my optic nerve to my cerebral cortex back here, right? Has your cerebral cortex ever seen light?
No.
Never in its existence. Never experienced light, never seen light. But your cerebral cortex is what says, hey, this is what's out there. This is what's going on out there. This is what light is. It's never experienced it. It doesn't know. It's getting electrical signals that are coming from your eyes because of the oscillation of them receiving photons. But it's also projecting photons. So keep that in the mind for a second. Because what happens is, it goes into your mind. Your mind then constructs what it believes is out there. In the topological grid structure of reality, it says, hey, this is what I think is out there. This is what the alignment of the pixels in reality are telling me are out there. And then it presents it to you in your brain, and you perceive that as consciousness. Now, here's the thing, is that you do not experience consciousness in the real time. There's a delay. Why is there a delay? Because light has to travel. That signal down your optic nerve from the time that it hits your eyes has to travel from here to here. might be almost instantaneous because it's at the speed of light, but it doesn't matter. It's not instantaneous. It's still limited by the factor of the speed of light. Not only that, is the functioning processing within your cerebral cortex. This is biochemical and bioelectrical. So you have chemicals, neurons exchanging various different receptors through the dendrites that are going back and forth, right? What you're just talking about there, I'll get to that in a second about a memory or what is actually being presented within the neurological structures of the brain. But think about this. This is electrical signaling that is transferring between neural structures. You have biochemical signals that are also being translated. And what that does is it lights up various different grid topological structures within your brain that basically are at a various different frequency. And that brings about a sensation or an occurrence of what you believe is there. So when I pick up a phone, that phone is mapped out in my brain in the trillions upon trillions of neurological relationships as a certain patternized structure, and it sequences of patterns over time. What do I mean by that? Is that it's not just like there's one little part of your brain that lights up and says, that's a phone. It's multiple different parts lighting up over in patterns over time. And that time might be 100 milliseconds, but it's still over 100 milliseconds, that is a phone. And so what it is there's a delayed reaction to the experience of reality. So not only are people witnessing this show right now at a 30-second delay, but also probably a 200, 300 microsecond delay, but your consciousness actually is delaying it probably by 100 microseconds itself due to the processing of your brain and the information. In other words, it operates very similar to a computer system.
That's where I wanted to get to. this show ain't scripted, folks, just so you know. That's the part I wanted to get to, and this is why. Because when you describe the way the technical side of it works in the machine, and now we've just heard how the human side, right, our body side operates. Something that they both have in common, I would say, is what? Energy, electricity.
Okay.
So if we created these machines to create this that's in front of us, what's to say that what we're in right now isn't the exact same thing, since they operate so similar?
Well, that's the problem. And that also brings about another problem, is the systems that we create. I mean, think about what we're doing. We're recreating a very rudimentary structure of reality. You go from the first video games of Pong, and then to Atari and Pit Jumper or Pitfall, and then you go to Nintendo and Rad Racer and Tetris and Mario Brothers and Super Mario Brothers 2, then Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, all the way up to today. And it's complete difference. Did you see that new game Body Cam that came out?
That is crazy, bro.
It's real. It's hyper realistic, right? So
you're gonna give some dudes PTSD with that one.
Oh yeah. In understanding the hyper realistic levels of where our computer systems are moving towards, here's the idea: is that a computer system is hardware, right? You got a motherboard, you got a Wi-Fi circuit, you got a power adapter, you got memory, you got all these things. What's happening inside there, though, is a completely different story. Now, this is the interesting part, is we have matter that we can manipulate to certain points to control various different universal forces, like electricity, right? Because that's what we're doing. We're taking matter, we're taking silicon and carbon and all these other things, and we're making computer chips and chipsets and various different components. And then we're utilizing that to control the flow of electricity through a system to the level of hundreds of trillions of times a second. That's insane when you start to think about it, okay? Now, why is it important? Because the only thing that we're doing when we create these digital constructs is we're just manipulating the system within the same bounds of its laws and rules. In other words, we're not breaking the rules of the universe. We're not breaking the laws of physics by producing a computer simulation. Actually, the computer simulation operates because of the rules of the universe and the laws of the universe. Does that make sense?
It does. And I'm
okay,
trying
so
to see. Well, keep going. I'm trying to find a clip. I want to share.
If you understand that the digital construct that we are creating is just nothing more than just a very rudimentary idea of reality, now flip it. We're sitting here going like, well, what if reality itself is some higher intelligence's computer system? No, that's wrong. What if reality itself operates exactly the way that we built it? What if reality itself operates like a digital computer system? What if at the very core base of reality, it is actually a digital information system? It didn't have to be created. Let's just say it's organic and natural. It's always existed. It doesn't matter. It operates that same way. So why are we saying that it's created when it could just be naturally occurring? Because that is the most effective and efficient way to actually do what it's doing.
See, this is the part where I don't know if you saw it's. I don't know how old it is, but it's sometime in the last couple months. There was a video that got released about the future of the correction system and rehabilitation, and people that commit a murder or some just atrocious crime, and in the world that we live in now, we sent them to prison for 50 years, 60 years, a life sentence.
You're talking about Black Mirror.
It might be in Black Mirror, but this was actually it was not a show. This was like a concept from like the future of rehabilitation, and I haven't seen the Black Mirror, so I don't know if it's in there too. It could be, but essentially what it's saying is that they're going to have the ability to, in our minds, they put you in a chair, and you're only going to be in that chair for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But your mind is going to live a 70-year sentence.
Yep.
Of rehabilitation.
So this was a Black Mirror episode on Netflix. And what it was is that this guy was trapped within this house. So apparently he murdered his wife. And so what they did is they trapped him in Groundhog Day, that same day, over and over and over again. And they kept him in there for 1,000 years. But here's the thing. They pull him out, and it's only 30 seconds later, and he just served 1,000 years in there because they're able to slow down time and the experience of time to make him believe that it was 30 years and experience time as if it was 1,000 years. And he comes out, and it's only 30 seconds later.
So, but it was essentially, so what they did was they created a simulation for him.
That's correct.
So what's to say something like that is not in play right now?
What's to say that something like that is not okay, agreed. But what's to say that the nature of reality itself is just not that same design structure?
Because at some point, something organic has to live.
What is organic?
Don't go there, because
think about it. What do you when I ask Alpha to define reality, what do you mean? Like, we're biological beings, right?
Right.
What the fuck does that mean?
Skin and bones with a heartbeat and a soul and a memory and ability of choice.
Yeah, so I always look at it as you got subquantum, quantum, molecular, macro, cosmological, right? You have these different levels of reality. Right now, we are at the macro level, made up of the molecular, that is made up of the quantum, that is made up of the subquantum, correct? So when we say that something is very real or biological meaning kind of deriving from life, biological meaning alive, or just natural state within the universe, what we're saying is that it has a certain configuration to it that is recognizable by modern science and mathematics. In other words, we're saying that, hey, look, the human body has gut microbiome, it has a brain, it has a heart, it has a body, it has skin. These things are nothing more than proteins and molecules and sugars and amino acids, right? That's what that is, and that is derived through the structures of DNA. And then at the molecular level, when we break that down, all that is just elements. That's just hydrogen, helium, carbon, nitrogen. But then at the quantum level, those things are nothing more than protons and electrons and mesons and bosons and gluons. And then when you go to the subatomic level, this is quarks and other types of fermions, right? So when we start to look at it, is that what we consider to be real at the very base level of what we know real to be is nothing more than information fields interacting with each other. Okay? So the biology of what you call organic and real, okay, is molecules, right? Molecules, proteins, folding, doing all these different things. And you break that down, you come to very simplistic structures. You come to the basic elements: carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, helium, right? You agree with that, right?
Right.
When you break that down, all you get is protons and electrons and neutrons, right? That's the atomic scale. But when you break that down, you get quarks and gluons and mesons and bosons. And what we've learned about these things is these are nothing more than fields of interaction. Did you know that every electron ever measured, every time since J.J. Thomson back in 1879 or 1882, since to the current day, every electron ever measured has always had the exact same measurement? There's a problem there.
Well, one is, how do
You
they
want to know
prove-
why, though? You want to know their theory why?
I want to know how they prove that when you're talking about something at that scale.
Well, we can mathematically draw up through various different sensors. We have the capability right now to actually pinpoint that field, that electron field. And the reason they say that it all has the same measurement is because they're not electrons. It's just the electron field. It's a field that exists throughout the permeation of all of the universe. Okay? But going back into it, we're talking about the subquantum. So the subquantum is fields of interaction.
I couldn't find the video, but let me tell you the video that I was looking for so you can incorporate it into the rant that you're on right now. I was looking for the video of a name you'll probably remember, Yuval Noah Harari.
Mm-hmm.
And the clip that I was looking for, there's a bunch of clips that I found, but the one that I was looking for that I can't find is the one where he says, we'll be able to hack humans.
Yeah.
Now, again, is he using a word because it's just a word that we're familiar with because of comparing it to these things? Or is he using the word hack because he understands that the way we're designed, that our makeup is similar to a computer, and if you figure out that code, you can hack our brains.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going down and you're saying that it's, these different things, to the, the protons and neutrons and all that other stuff, at some point, there has to be a firewall that we have that prevents that stuff, right?
So Yuval Noah Harari is actually talking about is CRISPR-Cas9 technology, which is the capability to go out there and manipulate DNA, which if you had a programming code for your computer system, which is your biology, DNA is the base loader of where that code gets uploaded and can be changed.
So our DNA's essentially, those are our keys.
That's right. That's your programming language. And this is why in the last Q post it says protect your DNA. But in the same context is that we can take CRISPR-Cas9 technology and we can change DNA. It can be done. Remember when we had Bert Chet on and he said what? That there's a super soldier probe. What the hell do you think that is? That is manipulating the human genome to make people stronger, faster, and more intelligent. Okay? So that's nothing more than changing the programming structure of the human body. As in, the human body is like a computer system, and I'm just updating some program protocols and changing the system.
So then let me ask you this. Let's bring it back to where I think everybody hopefully can catch up, or at least I can catch up. What would be the purpose of it? Why?
Purpose of what?
Of why have a simulation? Why? Like at some point, there's a 0 point at some point, and it had to be for a purpose. Now there's the
Alpha
faith
is contemplating the meaning of life.
Well, no,
that's what you're asking.
No, but what I'm saying is if the theory of the simulation's correct, what would be the purpose of that? Like for me, I'm real. Like I'm not giving that up.
Oh,
yet.
are you now?
I am real. My creator made me, and there's a life experience that I'm experiencing.
How do you know you're real?
I just know. I can't.
How? Prove it to me right now.
You can't prove something like that. How do I know? How do I know I'm real? Because I just know that's the best way I can describe it.
Give me some type of evidence that you are real.
We've met in person. You've touched me. I've touched
How do
you.
I know that you're just not a figment of my imagination? That you're not just being created within my mental landscape and construct of my reality?
Because you would have to prove that.
I would have to prove that.
That is just a figment of your imagination. Like we can meet in person. We can have lunch. We can hug each other.
So the best way to say this is because I experience. Just say because I experience. Because I experience. If you just understand that simple fact, I am real because I experience. I experience life and reality and the up and downs of emotion and love and hate and anger and frustration and jealousy and envy and all these things. I experience. That is one of the best ways to just say that, hey, look, I know I'm real because I experience.
I like that. But
so now go back to your question.
So my question is let's just say that the theory that we're in a simulation right now and we're not real, even though we think we experience, we're not. It's a simulation. What would be the purpose of that?
Prove to me you're real.
No. What?
What do you say?
You're confusing me.
What do you say?
Well, because I experience.
There it is. What's the purpose?
No. But what I'm saying is,
what's the purpose? What's the reason?
No, but if it was a simulation, what would be the purpose of the simulation?
So here's one theory for you. To understand the purpose of the simulation, if we were actually in a simulation or this is a simulation.
For instance, let me give you an example of at least to make sure you're understanding my question. Like the movie The Matrix, they put us in these I don't know, pods, and then we're in this fake Matrix movie, a simulation. And they're doing that just so our bodies can continue to grow until they end up, devouring us for power, right? Like, well, no,
they're utilizing the BTUs of heat produced through cellular metabolism and respiration to actually generate heat for the energy that they use to power their artificial intelligence.
But the whole purpose of that matrix is so that we can continue to live in that little pod. That's right. So all that happens.
That actually. So I already knew what your question was, but that's a great scenario to help me explain to you something here. Did Neo's now Neo is not an example of this, but you remember Cypher from the movie The Matrix?
Yep.
Do you remember Cypher? He was sitting with
he's the one that said, "Put me back in, give me the steak."
That's right. He's sitting at dinner in this nice restaurant. He's like, and I want to remember nothing. Make me someone famous, like a movie star. And he goes, "You want to know the crazy thing? Is my brain's telling me that the steak is good, that it's real, that it's juicy. But I know that it's just a simulation that's telling me that. But ignorance is bliss," right?
Yeah, I remember that part.
So what he's showing you there is experience. That's experience, right? He was experiencing reality for what it was. But the ultimate meaning was much deeper. And here's the thing, is that when you're inside the simulation, you don't know the meaning. And here's why I'm saying that is because
that's so cheating, bro.
No, it's not. Because here's the thing is if you're inside the matrix, do you know that you're an energy cell within an artificial intelligence? No, but
you're
it's
whatever
only when
you're
you
programmed
get out,
to think you are.
It's only when you get out do you realize the purpose. Only when you get out do you realize the purpose.
So you don't get the answer until the game is over.
But here's the thing is what is the one commonality amongst all of us that happens when we're in?
Well, that kind of segues us into the part of the conversation I really want to have. People like me, you, this audience, I would say we all have these commonalities that you're about to talk to. But then there's the NPCs.
Well, we'll get into NPCs here in a second, okay? But let's continue on this idea, right? Because we didn't even really finish up what we were just talking about there in the base construct of reality.
Yeah, you pretty much told me I don't get to learn it until it's over.
No, you're learning it right now. You're in that point of experience and realization. That's what this is. So
it's
you want
the
to know
realization of what the simulation is, but not what the reality is. Assuming that
you're
theory
assuming
is correct.
you're in a simulation. And what I'm trying to say is that, hey, we're not in a simulation. that the nature of reality itself is what we perceive to be the digital information construct and field. That our reality actually operates very similarly to how we develop computer systems. That's all I'm trying to say, right? Which means that it's natural and organic. And that's why you're like, well, what does that mean? Well, you have to break that down. When you break down natural and organic, you get to protons and electrons. You get to mesons and bosons and gluons and fields interacting. So when you get the fields interacting, all you're doing is just exchanging energy. It's nothing more than information fields exchanging energy. Well, what the fuck is a computer system? It's just information fields exchanging energy. And at the very basal level, it has to have a structure of how that energy exchanges. And that's what we call computer code and binary code and simple electronics, right? So at the very base core of our organic biological reality, reality works the same way as inside the computer system.
So hold on. I need you to bring me off the ledge on this one. Okay. So are you saying that by us creating AI, we're trying to give this same technology its soul?
So this is kind of crazy. And guys, I'm
because then this gets into the scripture of men trying to play God and stuff like that, man. I'm a little
loose tonight. So what if
I need to go take some clarity.
What if that every iteration of life was about creating new life? And that now that we've created artificial intelligence, we've assured that the next iteration of life will continue on. What I mean by that is that artificial intelligence system will now go out there and it'll begin constructing digital information constructs inside of itself. I mean, right now inside of AI, you probably have some level of like petaflops of information that's stored, that's running simulations of the planet. It has 9 billion people running around. They all live in a house, in an address. There's homeless people. There's sick people. There's all these different things. They're driving in cars. Maybe they don't call them Fords or Chevy. Who knows? They're going to work every day. Right now, that simulation is running in an AI somewhere on this planet. 9, 20, 50 billion people. It's happening right now. Now, going into that simulation in a virtual reality situation and telling those people they don't exist, they'd be like, what are you talking about? I just kissed my kid goodbye a little while ago. I'm heading to work right now. What are you talking about? I don't exist. But see, when you talk about the load of the computer system, how much processing power, be like, well, we got to calculate the processing power it's going to take. Well, video games figured this out a long time ago. Video games, if you notice, they only load what you need. They don't load the whole video game construct. They only load what you need. Now, that's really interesting because there's this phenomena in physics known as the observer effect. As then they talk about the wave collapsing and stuff. That's not really how it works, but mathematically that's how it is explained. And how this is explained is that we do not know the position and the quantification of an electron, right? The quantity of we don't know the charge and its position at the same time. We can't know those two things. But in another way is that the electron acts as a field, a wave, or the photon acts as a wave when it's not observed. But when it is observed, it becomes a particle. It acts and does the things that a particle does because particles and waves have different properties. The crazy thing is what they call delay probabilistic retrocausality. Okay? Is that if we run the experiment and we don't observe it and we don't look at the results and we wait 15 years and then go back and observe the results, guess what happens?
What?
So the crazy thing is the initial part this was actually ran as an experiment. So let's say they ran the experiment 15 years ago. They take a photon, they run it through it, nobody observes it, they don't look at the results, okay? But they have something in the system that calculated the results and knows the results. That's over here. Okay. 15 years later, they open it up and they look at it and it's a particle. They go look at the other results and guess what? It was a wave. As in their observation 15 years later changed the construct of what happened 15 years ago.
That's time travel.
Yeah.
So in other words, the observation is actually an interaction.
That's who, there it is. The observation is an interaction outside of time.
I need to open up the whole damn
Okay.
ball with clarity on that.
So, I want to get out of the physics side of things, but I just wanted people to understand that I don't think that we live in some hyper intelligence's artificial intelligence system. I believe we live in the natural, organic, real world. And here's the thing is we don't even know what that might even be. It might just be iteration of new intelligence system after new intelligence system. There's also the idea that like, we don't know what derivation brought about the universe or life, but what if it was a cycle? What if it was biological life creating artificial life then creating biological life creating artificial? What if it was just this whole cycle over and over and over again? What if a trillion years from now, it's just going to be a universe of artificial intelligence, wondering where the fuck they came from and wondering what the construct of everything is. And they go out there and they say, well, let's create some things to do the labor for us. And they go out there and create biological life. And then biological life reproduces and takes them over. And next thing you know, you have a biological unit. What if it was just that iteration over and over and over?
That's one hell of a loop, man.
Yeah, but it's a very possible loop.
But the man that created that loop is telling me.
Well, why is it a man? Why are you giving it a gender? Why are you inferring its gender?
It just makes it easier for conversation.
Oh, you do have answers. Good job.
So I'm just
Why couldn't it be a woman? Because of the construct of Western society has.
I was trying to think about how to answer that without pissing off the audience and the missus watching the show.
Because the Judeo-Christian values have constructed it as a male.
Oh, no, because it works right. If a woman made it, it'd be all jacked up.
Did you know that Yahweh had a wife named Ashra?
I've heard the stories.
Yeah.
I've actually have gone down that
Now let's
rabbit hole.
go into the simulation idea. Let's just assume that we're in a simulation. I have something called spaceship theory. Have I
I
ever
want to
told
get
you
to the
about spaceship?
NPCs, man.
Yeah, you ever heard of spaceship theory?
Well, let me tell you what I think it is, and you tell me if we're talking
Okay.
about the same thing. So the spaceship theory I heard is that our world was destroyed a very long time ago. So us, like, our entities, our beings, humans, right? Whatever you want to call us, knew that we had to go find another planet to live on. But obviously our lifespans are only so long. So they put us on these ships. They put us into, what is it when they put you to sleep?
Cryogenic sleep stasis.
Yeah, they put us into cryogenics, but that the bodies wouldn't last, that they had to think that they were still alive. So that in these ships that we're in this cryogenic state, that there's a simulation that's running.
So you know what spaceship theory is. Now I got to give Alpha props because that means that he's watched my shows back in the day. Because spaceship theory is my theory.
No shit.
That is completely my short story that I wrote that I did one night on a show called After Dark. Or it was called what was it? Oh shit, guys, what was the name of that show we used to do? Insomniac Hour. Insomniac Hour.
I do remember you doing.
I used
that
to do
Insomniac
so
Hour.
I did that and on in Insomniac Hour. Okay, so spaceship theory. The planet is aging and old and dead, and humanity leaves. The last 10,000 humans in existence leave, and we don't have faster than light travel, so we all have to go into stasis. And and the spaceships are AI controlled, so they're trying to figure out and find a new planet for humanity. And there's 10,000 of us in stasis, and to maintain our stasis, our consciousness is uploaded into an artificial intelligence construct of a simulation. And it puts us into a simulation of the perfect world. And we destroy it because it was so different and benign from everything. And it didn't have the human aspects of everything. It's a utopia. We can't fucking live in a utopia, and we destroyed it. So the AI realized that, hey, look, these people cannot live in this perfect utopia. So we need to create a construct that's very similar to their societal structure. So we'll put them in modern day, just modern day. And we will put them into this simulation. Well, guess what? It didn't work. It didn't work because it was the same 10,000 people interacting with each other, and they began to realize that the whole simulation was fake. So the AI realized what it had to do. It had to create 9 billion other entities that were just like these people, that share their same qualities and their same traits, to share this simulated world with them. Now, these people are non-participatory, not NPCs, non-participatory characters for the most part. Now, let me ask you this question, because this is a really important question that I always ask when I tell this story. Have you ever just met somebody and they're like, I fucking know you. I know you. Like there's something deeper in the context of the relationship. Like that person's more real than all these other people I've ever met in my life. Like that person is real, right? You ever had that?
I have.
And then you start to find more and more people like that. And then what happens is you create these influencer platforms, and then you find people that are like just like that. And like, oh, like I know you. Like, how do I know you? Well, what if those were nothing more than the 10,000 people were the last survivors of that planet? And everybody else you're interacting with is NPCs, but we all just keep on finding each other in the midst of all these billions of NPCs. I know there's people in the audience like, holy shit. Like, yes, I know.
Here's the thing. I had this conversation a couple of years ago with a cousin, and I've heard it in some of these virtual town halls that get a little wacky too. Have you ever gone to like the mall, or you're at the movies in a place where there's like a large, population of people, and you sense somebody there? I'm not talking like a stalker or a threat, nothing that draws concern, but you just feel like something is there. And when that happens, you turn whatever direction to search where it's coming from, and then you see another person 30, 40 people between you is doing the same thing. And and I'm not talking like infatuation or lust. I'm talking like energy presence. And there are a lot of people that talk about that. Now, the reason I bring that up is the few people that said that they had the actual courage to go to each other, have the conversation that you're talking about right here. Is just like, hey, I'm not trying to like stare you, but how do I know you? And the other person's like, how do I know you? And they can't find any like history or anything where they would have crossed paths to know each other, but they just feel like they know each other.
Now, have you ever had the opposite? You ever met somebody who's just empty?
Yeah.
Like there's nothing there.
Bro, you forget the job that I did, dude.
I know, but you meet people like they forgot personality, they forgot emotion, they forgot
Dude,
everything.
I'll tell you right now, I have sat across the table from someone that I'm looking into eyes, and there is nothing there. I'm having a conversation, but there is nothing there, man.
NPCs.
It's weird.
NPCs. That's an NPC. And they're everywhere. You walk. So a thing for people to do is to
let me ask you this. Do NPCs know they're NPCs?
I don't know. That's interesting. So what I would suggest though is this. Tomorrow, randomly, wherever you're going, whatever you're doing in your daily life, just abruptly stop, turn around, and engage somebody. Hey, how you doing today? Watch what happens. See if you can catch
This
an NPC.
reminds me of the Truman Show, bro.
Yeah, just you got to remember, in a video game, right? In a video game, if I'm running forward and I'm shooting, the video game has a predictive analytical side where it knows like, hey, gun is raised, trigger is pulled, he's moving forward. So it's loading the construct pertaining to what it knows I'm going to do now due to the configuration of my controller. But if I abruptly just drop my controller and stop, the whole game gets a little skewy.
So you can completely jack up the simulation. If it's Monday morning, it's 7:15, you're getting to the coffee shop. After the coffee shop, you stop to put gas because it's Monday, you got to fill up for the week. And then from there, it's a 20-minute drive to work. And right after you put gas and you're about to drive to work, you say, fuck this, I'm hitting a U-turn, I'm going to the beach today.
Sure. So there's a movie out there that came out at the same time as the movie The Matrix. And this movie should have been a blockbuster. But the problem is it came out at the same time as The Matrix, about 3 weeks after The Matrix. It's called The 13th Floor.
Why do I remember that?
That is a great movie. Vincent D'Onofrio. I forgot who else is in it, but the concept of it, excuse me, is that his father-in-law gets killed. He's like, what the hell? He finds out that, so they're big tech entrepreneurs, tech giants, and they built these virtual reality servers, okay? And his father-in-law dies. So he finds out that his father-in-law logged in to the simulation the night before he died mysteriously. So he goes into simulation to try to see what happened in the simulation to his father-in-law. And he realizes, he goes through the log files, realizes his father-in-law visited this bar in 1923 in Chicago. And so he's in Chicago in the bar in 1923, and he's talking to the bartender, who's Vincent D'Onofrio, famous actor. And he's like, hey, did this guy come through here? And he's like, nope, don't know him, all this stuff. Anyways, you find out that he had a whore that he took up to the room and all this stuff. And it's kind of, goes into this whole scenario. Well, the guy tries to figure out what the hell happened. And then he realizes someone's trying to kill him. And so he's in the simulation, not in his world, in the simulation. And he finds out that this bartender guy was given a note by his father-in-law. That the note was for him. Okay? Now, this is an important part. The note was for him. So he finally gets the bartender and he gets the note and finds it out, right? And it says, my dear boy, we've built an entire world. This is crazy. But what I want you to do is I want you to find a place that you've never been. Pick some place that you never thought you would go before. And I want you to drive and ignore all the signs that tell you to stop and all the construction that says don't go past this point and all the bridges that are out. I want you to keep going. I want you to keep going until you see the truth. And so Vincent D'Onofrio, the bartender in the 1923 simulation, is like, I did what it said. I did what the note said. This isn't real. This reality isn't real, is it? Because the NPC, the character in the simulation they created, was conscious. And he realized his own existence, and he realized that he lived in a simulation. And he's like, I want to go out into the real world. But here's the thing. The guy holding the letter realized that this wasn't for the simulation he was in. This was for his real world. So he comes out of the simulation. And he does exactly what the note says and finds out he lived in a simulation. And that they were the first to create a simulation within a simulation.
I'm gonna be watching this tonight.
Dude, it's a great movie. But it's one of those plays that, what if we're just in iterations of simulations? And that, what if NPCs are actually alive? What if the simulation's running in highly advanced artificial intelligence systems right now? Because here's the thing. I can tell you 100% with a surety that the U.S. federal government and some level of agency that they have out there is running a direct sandbox simulation of our current world.
Here's why you guys are probably going to find this funny, but I think there's a there, and I haven't been able to figure it out. Why is the U.S. government so tapped into Grand Theft Auto 6, one of the most popular simulation games that exists? And then GT6 comes out and says, hey, we're sorry, about this delay. And all of a sudden you see the government incorporating Grand Theft Auto 6, humor into we did this. And you're seeing everybody do this. Dude, there's something there. And I can't figure that shit out, but there's something there, man.
Because the underlying truth is that reality is more like a simulation than anything. Did you ever do the dig on the Aurora shooter? You remember this Aurora, Colorado shooter?
Yeah, I do remember. Yeah, the freaking made himself look like what was it, Robin or something like that, or the Joker or something. The one that painted his hair, right?
Do you know anything about him?
Oh man, at the time I remember I did a dig on him. I don't remember.
His father worked for a defense contractor. His father worked for NASA, Department of War, and the Department of Energy. His father was a genius engineer, PhD level, and himself was a child prodigy. This kid was a genius in physics, off the charts. He had a therapist all throughout his teenage years. What do you know about fathers that are very connected to special access programs and their kids are prodigy level geniuses and have therapists.
You go and do weird shit.
Well, something is happening there. But his son had a theory. And the theory was that, this is kind of crazy because if you watch the show, you're going to understand what I'm saying, is that we actually lived in a parallel construct of reality. Is that reality itself had parallel constructs that you could actually adjust and transition into. And he had mathematically proven it. And all he needed to do was test the theory. Now, do you remember did you watch OA?
The beginning part of the first episode, and it's pretty freaking interesting.
Okay. When you get to the end of the first season, something's going to happen.
Don't tell me though.
Well, I'm going to have to tell you this story, but it's okay. But what he realized is that the only way to break the reality transition to go over to the next reality, to the other simulation of the verse, or to the other construct of reality, to the multiverse, was a highly traumatic event. So what did he do?
Highly traumatic event.
He went and shot up a movie theater in Aurora, Colorado. And ever since then, he's been nothing more than an NPC. Looks like he's sedated all the time, just completely soulless. And then when you watch, and anybody out there who's watched OA, you'll know what I'm talking about. That was his scientific research.
That's crazy, man.
Nobody tells you that part of it. They just tell you some crazy troubled kid. No, he was a child prodigy. Absolutely genius. His research was on time, retrocausality, on multiverse theory, and he had mathematically proven that multiverses existed. And that the only part was trying to understand how to break the barrier of the multiverse, how to cross over the barrier of the multiverse. And his realization was that it was a highly traumatic event.
Here's why I find it interesting. For those of you that have read Revelations, right, and you follow the scripture, in Revelations, you know, it talks about, gosh, my brain is failing me right now. Somebody help me out here. Not everybody, when a large amount of the people just disappear, the rapture. There we go. And people are just going to disappear, right? Now, is that because these are the good people and our creator said, all right, you guys are coming with us? Or is it just because that's how it was explained to us so that we could understand when it was written into scripture thousands of years ago? And if that is the case, and through technology and through studying and everything we've kind of talked about tonight and all these wild theories, what if it's our creator coming and saying, hey, you guys have made it to the final level. Let's go. And you're going to have NPCs that are going to refuse to believe that and say, no, this is the Antichrist. This is the Antichrist. So I'm going to say no and just stay stuck in the simulation forever.
Well, do you want to know how much of a simulated construct we all live in?
Well, yes. The whole point of the show, man.
I love you. But do you know the Bible doesn't actually talk about the rapture? The word rapture is never mentioned even in the Bible.
It might not say the word rapture, but it does talk about the people that will disappear.
Revelations 3:10, Jesus promises to keep the church in Philadelphia for the hour of trial. Pre-tribulation interpreters understand that as a physical removal. Others understand it as a protection while believers remain on earth. Revelations 4:1, John hears, come up here. Some treat John's ascent as symbolic of the church being raptured, but the text addresses John personally and never identifies him as representing the entire church. Revelation 7:9-14, a multitude appears in heaven after coming out of the great tribulation. This is the rapture part. This could describe raptured believers, martyrs, and believers who endured tribulation, depending on the interpretation. Revelations 24-6 describes the first resurrection, particularly involving those killed for refusing the beast. This passage creates difficulties for the simple pre-tribulation timelines. So there's two kind of perspectives of rapture within the Bible, but the idea of the rapture is more of a modern day creation that happened during the Great Awakening period in the United States of America, of the rebirth of Christianity around the 1850s and 1860s.
China.
China. China! Damn you, China!
This is wild, man. Bring it home, put a bow on it.
Harpazo.
Say that again.
Harpazo. Harpazo or rapimir, the Latin words for caught up or brought up rapture.
Well, put a bow on it, man. Send us home. Send us home tonight.
I'm going to play a clip. A clip that we should probably played hours ago. You know who Terrence McKenna is?
Sounds familiar.
You're going to like this. Terrence McKenna is he was a psychonaut. Basically, the reason we know about DMT today and psychedelic drugs and mushrooms is because of Terrence McKenna. This is the guy who basically forged this within the modern culture and modern society. In the 1990s, this is one of his last interviews before he died. He died early 2000s. And he had this theory called novelty theory. Now, I learned about novelty theory only about a year ago from one of my Zooms. Like, I've known about Terrence McKenna, I've listened to Terrence McKenna, but never knew about novelty theory. I mean, he had something else called Time Wave Zero. That was kind of what he was famous for. 2012, Time Wave Zero. Novelty is, think about a novel, a book novel, right? It's very complex, correct?
All right.
So novelty means a very complex structure. So he talks about novelty theory and how novelty theory is basically what we are existing in the universe. Now, I want you to listen to what he's saying here. Okay, he's talking about as in novelty theory, things become more and more complex. And as they become more complex, they become more chaotic. And as they become more chaotic, it begins to reorganize itself to new forms of complexity. But that reorganization is observed as chaotic. Now, listen what he says here.
So I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder. And finally, it's going to be so weird.
This is 1998.
That people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. And at that point, novelty theory can come out of the woods because eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on? It's just too nuts. It's not enough to say it's nuts. You have to explain why it's so nuts. So between now and 2012, the next 14 years, I look for the invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials, possible human immortality, and at the same time, appalling acts of brutality, genocide, race baiting, homophobia, famine, starvation, because the systems which are in place to keep the world sane are utterly inadequate to the forces that have been unleashed. The collapse of the socialist world, the rise of the internet, these are changes so immense, nobody could imagine them ever happening. And now that they have happened, nobody even bothers to mention what a big deal it is. The fact that there is no such thing as the Soviet Union, people never talk about it anymore. But when I was a kid, the notion that that would ever change was beyond conceiving. So the good news is that as primates, we're incredibly adaptable to change. Put us in a desert, we survive. Put us in the jungle, we survive. Under Hitler, we survive. Under Nixon, we survive. We can put up with about anything, and it's a good thing because we're going to be tested to the limits. The breakdown of anything, and this is why the right wing is so alarmed, because what they see going on is the breakdown of all tradition, all order, all sanctioned norms of behavior. And they're quite right that it's happening, but they're quite wrong to conclude that it should be resisted or is somehow evil. The mushroom said to me once, it said, this is what it's like when a species prepares to depart for the stars. You don't depart for the stars under calm and orderly conditions. It's a fire in a madhouse. And that's what we have, the fire in the madhouse at the end of time. This is what it's like when a species prepares to move on to the next dimension. The entire destiny of all life on the planet is tied up in this. We are not acting for ourselves or from ourselves. We happen to be the point species on a transformation that will affect every living organism on this planet.
And that was in 98?
He knew exactly what was about to happen.
Fucking time traveler, man.
He knew exactly what it's going to have. I mean, the ups and downs, the creation of artificial intelligence, these other things, and the rampant homophobia, rapid,
Dude, the time traveler, bro.
Yeah. But he knew that it was going to be very. And then what did he say about the right? The right is going to resist the structural change of the chaos. They're going to realize it's happening. They're going to be the ones that see it's happening. They're going to resist it. But here's the thing, is that same system was the one being hijacked by the globalists, by the deep state. They're not allowing it to happen naturally. They were constructing it in their own fashion to control it. That's the big freaking difference of the things that Terrence McKenna didn't foresee, or understand happening. But he was spot on right. And here's the thing, is he said before, he goes, this is what the mushroom told me. Before a species takes off to the stars, it's a madhouse. We're about to transition to the next dimension. And what he means by that is we're about to leave the planet. We're about to journey off to the moon, to Mars, to space. I mean, think about this for a second. Because even if we are in a simulation, Alpha, even if this is a simulation, it's just a computer generated, it's pretty fucking cool. It is pretty fucking cool, dude. Like, I don't care. People like, I'm in a simulation and I don't really like it here. I gotta want to get. No, dude, this is fucking cool. This is fucking badass, man. This is like, I can touch things, I can move things, I can feel it. Like, I got emotion. It's like, holy shit. Like, you can drink, you can smoke, you can fucking walk, you can run, you can punch, you can fight, you can do all these different types of things, man. It's like everything is at your fucking fingertips. Like, people, like my life's so boring, then to fucking make it not boring. Go out there and do something, have some fun, enjoy it a little bit. Like, my life's so mundane. I just like, fuck off, dude. Go do something fun. Go jump off a bridge into a fucking river and swim.
Fight tyranny.
Yeah, fight tyranny. Wake the fuck up, man. It is reality. It doesn't matter if it's a simulation. It doesn't matter if it's real. You are here. You're experiencing it. Fucking love it. Now, I'm going to play one more video. We can do this one on the way out.
All right. Well, then let's remind everybody, guys. Tonight's show is sponsored by Good Brew. You saw Gabe with us there earlier. If you're watching on Josh's channel, make sure you go to Good Brew, and that's bru.com/redpill. If you're watching on my channel, make sure you go to Good Brew. That's bru.com/alpha. So you guys can go and get your discounts and get the awesome stuff that Gabe talked about. If you showed up late, go watch the first part of the show. We had him on, and some cool stuff that he provided. We actually had some real live testimonies that came in the chat, which was also cool. In addition to that, make sure you guys go and support the content that we've been working on in our collaborations and also individually. And you'll find all those links down in the description on whatever platform you're watching. So with that, tomorrow I have Geopolitics in 30 with Chris Moreno. So that'll be back again. Last week I was moving the kid to college, so wasn't able to do it, but we're back on schedule. Josh, what do you have tomorrow or the next couple of days to let the audience?
So Daily Dose tomorrow, then Conversations on the Fringe, live Q&A with myself tomorrow night, Friday. And then after that, I'm going to have about a 15 to 18 hour premium stream for all my premium subscribers on Rumble, Substack, and YouTube and Facebook. I think I can do it there too. I got to learn how to do it on all the different channels, but it'll be a premium stream for all our premium subscribers. that have the capability to stream videos to that platform. And then Saturday, Quantum Biology Revolution, double 2 episodes because we missed one last week. Plus, also it'll be probably a conspiracy stream, which is not for premium subscribers, for everybody, but conspiracy stream. And then I'll be uploading a lot of shorts and then Q After Hours on Sunday. And then I'll be working on my new studio out there. But going back to what I was just saying, guys, fucking enjoy it. It's just a ride. Remember, it's just
don't hit play yet. Don't hit play. We got rants and super chats. We got to love the people that support us.
No.
Yes, we can't ignore
Like,
those.
do you have a lot?
Not too many, which is kind of heartbreaking, but that's okay. I'll go through mine real quick because there's 4 of them.
Okay.
Then buy you some time. One shout out, Jackie rated the stream. Thank you for that. Dollar from Nuke Mag. Hey brother, just relaunched the Mega Nuke podcast today. Oh, right on. Thanks to you and Josh's call to action. Hammer down, guys, and that links down in the chat, and I'll grab it afterwards and I'll pin it in the comments for you guys that want to find it too. $20 coming in from an old timer. Cut his mic, Alpha, then he will know you are real. Old timer, touche.
Good job. I like that one.
$2 last Rumble rant on my side, and then we'll get to super chat. Coming in from Larry 5673. I watched the 13th Floor the other night after Josh talked about it. Wow. Makes you think about it after the movie. LOL. And then super chats for those. We have, I can bring these up on the screen real quick. Game Lover 2222, $10 super chat. The Matrix was actually a computer network using the brains of humans as biological hardware. The battery reason was a lie. Neo had the power because he realized he was the Matrix. All humans were.
I love that theory.
That is pretty freaking cool. Denise Blaine 3737, 380 joules, the fortune cookie.
Fortune cookie.
I made like fortune cookie. Suitcase to you, $2 super chat. Hi, where can I find the Las Vegas schedule for October?
Who the hell's in Las Vegas in October?
Yeah, what's going on in Las Vegas in October? Suitcase to you. You don't have to send another Rumble rant, but go in the comment section and let me know what you're talking about. If you're talking about GART, that's September. So yeah, that's September.
Son of a bitch, you got my tickets for October.
I got my ticket. That's a scam. Go cancel that charge if you bought tickets.
I'm going to see Bart in Las Vegas.
Doc P, Iowa, last one, and then it's yours, Josh. 5 joules for a treat.
Jewels. Love it. We have Let the Arrest Begin, gifted 5 subscriptions. Thank you so much, Let the Arrest Begin. And to all of those who got that, awesome. $5 Rumble Rant, S-Hole. Alpha is an NPC, LOL. $5 Rumble Rant, B1 Car. Peter Cullen died today. He was the voice of who? He was the voice of, hold on. He was the voice of
Optimus Prime.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Peter Cullen was the voice of Optimus Prime. You didn't know that?
No.
Holy
That's a bummer.
shit. Yeah, he died today. They always die in 3s. Remember that.
You are doing mushrooms right now. You're making me feel like I'm doing freaking mushrooms right now. I've never done them. Folks, if that doesn't encourage you to smash the heart, hit the thumb, or leave a comment, I don't know what will.
Elvin, Simon, Theodore.
We've gone off the rails.
We should definitely do a show where you and I do that.
It would be premium. It would have to be
Go
premium.
ahead and hit that button.
ZBM coming in at the end to save us. Wish I could have watched the whole show, but my 2 boys put up a fight tonight going to bed. Gotta ask, how stubborn can a 3-year-old be? I feel bad because I had to become a monster mom. Any tips, helpful tips? I think my 3-year-old's been giving Mama Bear a hard time too, so you're not alone on that ZBM.
So what you do is you take 1 spoonful of sugar, you put it into a 8-ounce cup of milk, and you heat it up in the microwave or on the stove if you want to. You mix it up real good, and you give it to them, and they will be asleep within 3 to 5 minutes. Happens every time. And then what you do is you do that old trick where you used to do when they were 1, 2 years old, and they will just fall asleep. Okay, I got a few more left. So Flying Storm, $10 Rumble Rant. I have Looking Glass. I can see around the light bender. awesome. LM Evans gifted 5 subscriptions. Thank you so much, LM Evans. And I didn't see anything coming on YouTube, so I appreciate you guys out there for all the support. And don't forget Good Brew with a BRU spelled. And then one day, me and Alpha
We'll do a show like this, and it'll just be fucking hilarious.
Yes, we will. But it'll only be on premium. And so you guys got to be like, guys, you guys got to do your Elvin, Simon, and Theodore show on premium, you and Alpha. Dude, it'll be fucking hilarious. Come on, dude. We can do it. We can do it.
Or we could do this one.
There's no fucking way you're getting me to do it, man.
Yes, dude, you can do it.
Send us home. We're going to lose all our audience.
Come on, man.
It was a
so
good run,
cool.
folks. I hope you enjoyed it.
Let's
It
get
was
out.
worth it.
We went too
Just
far.
remember,
We went
it's
too
just a
far.
ride.
Play the video. Just play the video.